Hello, this is Emily. Welcome back to my channel. I am currently dressed as Belle because it is Halloween. However, it is that time to film my Reading Wrap-Up video. So I'm going to try to do a quick video before it's time for trick-or-treaters to stop coming. So let's just go ahead and hop in and share all the books I read in the month of October. And there was quite a bit, so let's get rolling on that. I read Fever Song by Karen Marie Moning. This is a continuation in the Fever series. And I gave this book 4.5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it and really liked the way it wrapped up a lot of loose ends, as well as all the battles and drama and stuff that entailed. And I can't wait to see what happens next in this series. I read the 3rd volume of Lore Olympus, which is a modernized version of Hades and Persephone. And I really did enjoy this and can't wait to see what happens next because it did kind of leave on a slight cliffhanger. I read the 8th volume of Spy Times Family, which ended on another cliffhanger, and I gave this one 5 stars. I finally finished Devilman, the Classic Collection Volume 2, which was a bit of a chunker and an old school manga. And I gave this about 2.5 stars. A lot of it, the pacing was kind of out there. However, I mean, I guess I can see why it's a classic and set up the horror genre of manga. But, it was a mad read for me. I completed my Cells at Work manga series with volumes 5 and 6. Both of these were 4 stars, and I really did enjoy learning more about cells and how they help the human body function. Horror Store by Grady Hendrix was a 3.5 star read for me, and this was a really cool horror novel with a satire type twist because it was based off of IKEA basically. But I did really enjoy the story and was wanting to see what happened to the characters and if they would escape the store or not. I read the 3rd volume of Pokemon Adventures. This was a 3.5 star read for me, and I did really enjoy the story overall. However, some parts did feel repetitive with all the battles and stuff going on. I ended up reading The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwick. This is the first in the Hell's Library saga, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. Gave it 4.5 stars, and I can't wait to see what happens next because this one was one that left me on the edge of my seat. I read volume 1 and 2 of Scattering His Virgin Bloom. This was a 3-star read for me for both of these, and this is rated mature, so don't read if you're under 18. I tackled Paddington Abroad by Michael Bond. This is the 4th book in the Classic Adventures of Paddington Bear and really cute continuation. And in this one, we are seeing Paddington as he travels abroad to France with his family. I started Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson, which is book 1 in the Reckoner series. This was I believe 4.5 star read for me. I read it back at the beginning of the month, so it's kind of hard keeping track of all the ratings on the top of my head. However, I really did enjoy this, and the take it had on those with supernatural abilities and superpowers. And I really enjoyed that cliffhanger, so I want to know what happens next and can't wait to continue on with this series. So I read volume 8 and 9 of A Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School. Both of these are 5-star reads, and I really love this series and can't wait to see what happens next because I am in love with all the characters in this series. I completed If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This was a thriller where we were trying to figure out who was actually the ones that killed one of the students at this elite college of theater kids. And I ended up giving this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed the book overall and all the twists and turns that ensued and left me hanging on the edge of my seat while I tried to figure out who the killer was. And of course, after reading If We Were Villains, I was finally inspired to tackle Macbeth by William Shakespeare. This was a 4-star read for me. I did really enjoy this play of his over some of the other ones I have read in the past. And I think this was one of his more superior works. I tackled The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This one kind of left me a little bit confused at the end, but then once I got to thinking about it, I realized why I was so confused because throughout this book, we start out sane, and by the end, we don't know what's real or not. And this did an excellent job of doing that. However, I only did give this 3.5 stars because the writing style was kind of hard to get used to. I was on the manga roll this month, and I read volumes 6 through 8 of Hunter x Hunter and really enjoyed the continuation of the stories. I've seen the complete anime that has been released, so a lot of this is repeats of what I've already watched on TV. However, it still holds up just as well in the manga, and some of it's even bloodier than what you see in the anime. I read A Game of Fate by Scarlett St. Clair. I really wanted to love this. I do love Greek retellings. However, I felt the characters were very flat in this, and it was a lot of erotica and smut. Just not much dimensions or reasons why a lot of this was happening, so I just rated it 2.5 stars. And I think if the characters were more well-rounded, I probably would have enjoyed it more. I read Anya's Ghost by Ver Broskell, and this was a 3-star read for me. It was an alright graphic novel, not my favorite, but I still did enjoy the story and wanted to see what would happen to Anya after she brought home a ghost. Another graphic novel I tackled was Lightfall, The Girl and the Galdurian, Book 1. And this was a 4.5 star read for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed this book. And I love, like, all the color illustrations throughout were outstanding. And I can't wait to see what happens next, because there was a slight cliffhanger. I reread Pet Sematary by Stephen King. This was a book I originally read back in high school, so it's been quite a while. And this was a 3-star read for me. I did enjoy the second read of it. However, he does not do the best with writing female characters. That's his one weakness of mine. So that's why I docked a few stars, but still a great read. I read Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesare. This was a 4-star read for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it and was left on the edge of my seat trying to figure out if the students would survive in this clown horror mass murder thriller. So I wouldn't recommend if you're terrified of clowns, and I would not recommend reading this if you're staying out in the middle of nowhere by yourself, because I did have some jump scares while reading this. But it is an overall very entertaining book and will leave you on the edge of your seat wanting to know if they survive or not. I caught up with Seraph at the end and read volumes 24 and 25. I don't even know what volumes are out so far. Both were 5-star reads for me, and I can't wait to see what happens next. This is one of my top series. I just wish it was complete because it's been going on for quite some time now. I read Carrie by Stephen King. This was probably one of my favorite of his I've read so far, and I really did enjoy it. And I think one of the pluses of why I enjoyed it so much is he did get to the point rather quickly and did not drag on and on like some of his other works, because this was a pretty short, quick read, and I definitely do enjoy reading this, and probably will watch the movie and remake of the movie at some point. I read Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. This was actually a pretty big surprise for me because I didn't go in expecting too much. I felt like it would probably only be like a 3-star read for me. However, this ended up being a 5-star read, and I pretty much read it in 2 days. I probably would have read it in 1 full day if I didn't have to sleep for work. But I did enjoy this, and basically this is a historical fantasy set in a world where there are fairies. Like, there's humans and magic, and then the Fae live on the other realm, and this girl ends up being cursed and losing half her soul as a child, so she doesn't have emotions and everything, and ends up going to London and society and meeting this, what's it called? Lord Sorcier. Trying to remember the terms because I'm ADHD brain right now. And basically, he agrees to help her figure out a solution to her curse, and then ends up falling in love with each other. So this was a slow burn romance, and definitely enjoyable. And I would highly recommend this book because I really did enjoy it, and was definitely a surprise for me this year. The last book I'm going to talk about is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. This is a book that I kind of impulse bought because I saw that it was very similar to The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I did feel those vibes reading it, and I really enjoyed this witchy story with found family and stuff, and I would highly recommend this because it's a great read. Well, I guess that's it for today's video. I did read quite a few books. I don't know off the top of my head. Almost 30, not quite 30, but there was a lot of books. I got on a manga kick near the end of the month, so I picked up a lot of mangas. And also, I was on a Stephen King kick at the beginning of the month, so I was reading a lot of that. I also was working on another one of his works. I just didn't finish it, and that was Salem's Lot, because I kind of got off that and went to mangas instead. But hey, I got 3 Stephen Kings read, so that's pretty good. But I guess that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to share what books you tackled in the month of October down below. And if you've read any of these books, what your thoughts were on them. But I guess that's it, and I will see you guys in my next video.